welcome back to the Space Jam Continuum, the show where we try to make a cohesive cinematic universe out of something that was never meant to be one. I'm Chris McLennan.
I'm Carl Noble.
And welcome to the second half of our Season 1 recap. So what we've been doing is just trying to recap the story so far so people can jump in at this point if they're new to the podcast and catch up with the finer points in their own time.
Yeah, and I mean, there is quite a bit sorry. There's quite...
It's a bit blue for this point of the episode.
Well, it is quite a bit to catch up on, but it is totally worth going back and listening to the other episodes when you've got a chance. And, there'll be, a bit more of a laugh than these ones will be because it's just bombardment of information.
Yeah, also, if you didn't listen to the previous episode and you're trying to jump in, the story starts in the previous episode.
Yeah, so go back and listen to that one.
Yeah. But otherwise, we're jumping in at the rise of El Porco and Porkytopia, where an increasingly mad and despotic Porky Pig has declared his own nation state and keeps people under a rule of terror. So let's jump in.
Let's get right back into that light-hearted bit, shall we?
Okay, so when we last left you, we left you with the news that Porky Pig had gone mad with power, declared himself a nation state.
Yeah.
Starting out from his dad's farm, and it all got a bit off the rails.
It had, he'd started his own courtroom where he was presiding over, cases. And the case we saw was Daffy Duck and his wife were having a dispute, and all the animals were there. He'd set up his own cinema where he was just airing his own
stuff,
films. And it was crap.
It was crap, but everyone was terrified and like, woo,
you're amazing, woo.
Now this rise to power clearly didn't go unnoticed by the powers that be, because we open at this point with an assassination.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Now.
All right, how's it going?
An assassination attempt on Porky's life.
Yeah,
where an ant strapped with explosives was sent to kill Porky the Third.
Yeah,
or El Porco, as we refer to him during this period of his life.
Yeah, but the ant gets it. I mean, obviously, given a picture, I guess, of his target.
Pig.
Yeah, and sent into the area where he thinks he's going to be.
Yeah.
The ant gets it wrong.
Because he finds a Porky Pig who's just working at a cinema. And at the time when we watched the episode, we thought, well, maybe that's just what he likes to do. Because we saw him airing film festivals and things.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, we find out that's not the case. But not quite yet. In the rest of the Tooniverse, Elmer's getting tubby.
Yeah, he is. He's. I think he's not used to having a human body that reacts to food in that way, so he's just consuming.
Because I imagine when you're an egghead, you just mash food sort of onto your mouth area,
and it just falls down onto your animatronic body and is brushed off.
Yeah.
Whereas now he's actually consuming food. And he's realising that it has a somewhat detrimental effect on your body if you consume too much and don't do much.
An addiction does seem to be like a sort of running theme in the two of us, but it's another addiction, and he's literally got a taste, and he loves this stuff.
Oh, he does. Food is awesome for him, so he's just getting bigger.
Yeah, we don't know if he's on the highway to diabetes.
Yes, yeah.
Porky, during this time, is becoming increasingly mad and increasingly paranoid. He knows he's not going to get away with this forever, the way it is. So what he has started doing is replacing customer-facing roles in businesses in Porkytopia with lookalikes of himself.
Yeah.
And everything's called Porky's something.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
got, like,
what the guy
Porky's
at the cinema
Bakery.
who got attacked was.
Yeah.
It's just like Porky's
He was just
cinema.
he was just somebody who worked there who looked like Porky.
He's probably paid a bit of a premium for looking like Porky.
Yeah.
Like danger money. But we also see Porky's Bakery, Porky's Cafe. We know the police chief is Porky.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's something that's going on. Like he knows someone's after him. We don't know if it's the agency, or if it's like the monkey government, or some combination of both.
Yeah.
At this point, I presume it's a governmental situation.
I would assume so, because like they take an active role.
Yeah, and also later on, progression later on implies that switch to me. TARDIS and Toon Lords I've got written here. So this is where we discovered Bugs. I guess it's the root of all Bugs' Toon powers, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is TARDIS, which is time and relative dimension in soil. Anytime Bugs Bunny is touching soil, he can disappear into it. He can turn up anywhere else where there's soil.
Yeah.
And any other time.
That is the big thing. That is the point where we realise that Bugs just jumps around time and interferes with his own timeline, interferes with other people's timelines. To what end, we don't know yet.
So this is where we concluded, I guess, that Bugs Bunny is what we're terming a Toon Lord.
Yeah.
He's a super powerful, like near eternal Toon. And yeah, he's got some insight into what's coming and what's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
he
ways
has a
to
plan.
affect it. I've written who the hell are the Dover Boys next. Now the Dover Boys, like that, this is definitely not relevant to the overall plot.
No, but it is definitely worth watching.
It is the first and last time the Dover Boys appear in the entire thing.
Yeah.
I just wrote it down because it's just a baffling episode, and I encourage you all to go and watch the cartoon. What's it called? It's not just called the Dover Boys. It's called something really long. What's it called?
Let me just find out for you.
The Dover Boys at Pimento University, or the Rivals of Rockfort Hall.
Yeah, also known by the shortened title,
The
Dover Boys.
But I wanted the name in.
It's such a long name, and like for a set of characters that turn up once.
Yeah, in the Dover Boys at Pimento University, or the Rivals of Rockfort Hall.
Yeah.
But go and watch that.
It is hilarious.
It's hilarious and irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I had to write it. It's the only thing I think I've written in capital letters on.
It's hilarious and irrelevant.
At this sort of point, Willoughby, who's a character we've encountered before, but as various dogs, character the same.
Yes, but looking very different throughout a lot of the different episodes.
He starts to take a dark turn at this point. And it's when he murders a cat and uses it as a puppet.
Yeah, he uses the skin as a puppet. It's
that
horrible.
We start to entertain the idea that Willoughby is a ghost.
Yeah, he's not just a dog that's kind of changing appearance. It's a ghost that's inhabiting different dogs.
Various dogs and trying to finish some sort of unfused business that we think he's forgotten all about.
Yes.
He doesn't know what it is.
But he
just
knows he's got to do something. Yeah.
That's when we started entertaining that idea, and we stick with it because we're pretty sure it's true. Tweety turns up at this point.
He does.
Not much to say about that.
He's bald.
He's bald. And a sort of weird pinkish little thing.
It's horrible.
But just thought I'd flag that's where Tweety turns up.
Yeah.
I've written Elmer the Toon Lord ? So at some point, Elmer finds this book about hypnosis.
Yeah.
And he's practicing his hypnosis. He encounters Bugs, and Bugs seems to pick up this power real quick.
Yeah,
but
he does.
Something happens. We see some transferal of power. And I think Bugs at this point inadvertently created a fledgling Toon Lord in Elmer.
Yeah.
Now at this point, we are pretty sure that Bugs is the Doctor Who of this situation.
Yeah, we think he's the good guy.
Elmer will sort of become the master of this situation.
Yes, yeah.
Super Carrot. So Bugs Bunny turns up at some point. We think he's a younger Bugs in his timeline.
Yeah, but he's got a reason for being here, and there's a scientist creating like a serum to try and make superpowered people.
Yeah, he's making a super carrot.
Yeah, and he's putting it into the carrot, and he's testing it on the rabbits to see a rabbit to see whether or not it works before he goes on to human testing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Bugs seems intent on sabotaging this situation. And it's not the last time we see this sort of situation, but Bugs has travelled back to stop this happening. So Bugs, I presume, knows that this scientist or this scientist's work goes on to create something.
Yes.
I don't know if it creates something evil or if the serum just works and the ramifications of that are terrifying. But Bugs, using his time-travelling experience and knowledge of the future, takes it upon himself to stop this from happening.
Yeah.
Because he knows there's some sort of hideous super mutant future that must be avoided at all costs. So that's the kind of, again, it reinforces our thoughts at the time that Bugs was like this Doctor Who character. And it's like, we've got to stop that.
Yeah, he's going back and he's doing what seem to be good things.
At around this sort of time, Daffy and Porky the Third's relationship is under incredible strain. Obviously, Daffy has helped Porky get his job back.
Yeah.
And the way Porky has repaid him is to become a mad despot of his own nation state.
Yeah.
Daffy seems still to be in the employ of the agency.
Yeah.
Which Porky presumably brought him into in the first place. And the agency seem to, in one last-ditch attempt to end the nation state of Porkytopia in a civil way, send Daffy in to talk to his old friend.
Well, that's it. He's going in, he's trying to talk him down, just make him see the error of his ways. But I just don't think it really worked out that well.
Yeah, and Daffy, like, he seems to know that, like, this is it, or he's going to have to kill his friend.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, the mission goes a bit tits up, and he has to sort of break cover.
Yeah.
And we don't really see the way it resolves. And, like, for a time after that, we see Daffy being sent on various other missions that aren't relevant to his own past.
No.
And we, like, a lot of them revolving around, like, behind enemy lines action. Like, there's definitely a sort of Daffy versus Hitler sort of mission.
Yeah. Which is interesting that Hitler made his way across through the portal.
Yeah, it's very strange. But I don't think we've seen Hitler before at this point, but we've seen a Nazi spy.
Yes.
In Porkytopia.
Yes, we have.
So yeah, there's some definite crossover. The war's creeping into the Tooniverse.
Yeah.
There is a Tooniversal theatre of war at this point.
Oh, it does happen.
So at this point, I think we've only seen Daffy being sent on direct missions involving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we think this is to sort of repay for his
whiffing up
his
of
failure, because there was collateral to that.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the introduction of a couple of characters. There's A Flea, who his influence on the greater Tooniverse, like, is unlikely to be huge because he's a flea, as his name suggests. But what is interesting is the sort of prospecting sort of side of flea culture in the Tooniverse. Like, they seem to get to, pitch up on a dog.
Yeah.
And just stake a claim.
And it does seem to be non-sentient dogs. They get given kind of like a claim right to, and then they can go there and mine.
So presumably this is governmentally sanctioned.
Yes, but for non-sentient,
animals. Like, so dogs are sort of real estate in that sort of term. But in a more sort of gold rush prospect.
Yeah, I'd imagine other animals are, like cats and various other things, but we haven't seen that happen. It's only on dogs that we've seen it.
Yeah. The other character we see introduced, who we haven't seen a lot of, but we know later becomes a part of the Sylvester and Tweety cartoons, is Grandma.
Yeah.
Now, Grandma, we haven't seen her.
No.
But in a sort of Little Red Riding Hood episode, there's a sign on her door saying she's not in because she's working swing shifts at Lockheed.
Yeah.
Now,
cracking job.
It's wartime, of course.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not uncommon.
No.
Like that sort of thing in wartime.
Yeah.
But it does go on to reinforce why Grandma is such a badass later on. But we're not there yet. I just remember those cutscenes.
Yeah, you just she's awesome.
Grandma's hardcore.
Yeah.
Disappointing moment in the Tooniverse then. Bugs Bunny nips the nips. It's not my favourite archive film.
No,
of
this
the Tooniverse.
this was a dark turn for Bugs.
And yeah, it's a pivotal point.
Yeah, this was the point where we realised maybe he's not the Doctor Who of this story. Maybe he's not necessarily the good guy we want.
Yeah, I mean, he kills a lot of Japanese soldiers in his part. And yeah, again, I understand it's wartime, but the problem we had here is the pleasure he seems to take in it.
He revelled in it.
Like he's drawing like those Japanese flags up, painting Japanese flags up on the tree every time he kills one. He's chucking out racial slurs along with chalk ices with grenades in them. Like he's really reveling.
Like we don't know what point in his timeline this Bugs is.
This is the war Bugs,
but it is a dark time for him, and we know that he becomes better, but maybe not for the right reasons.
And at this point, we start seeing as well a lot of cartoons that are very similar to ones we've watched before.
Yeah.
The principal difference usually is that Gabby Goat isn't in them. And Daffy Duck is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's another character swapped out, but that tends to be the principal difference. And they tend to be a bit more racially sensitive on Porky's part.
A bit more light-hearted as well.
A bit more jovial. And we think we've taken this to mean at this point that the mission to depose Porky, Despot Porky, El Porco, Porky the Third, from his position in Porkytopia was a success, even though it was kind of a botched job.
Yeah.
He's either gone into hiding or he's been knocked off. We don't really know at that point. But we do know that that Porky the Fourth has been put back in the role of Porky.
Yeah.
You can tell, again, he's hamming up the stutter. Like, it's a different Porky.
It's so obviously a different Porky.
And they're just trying to redo those episodes and sort of, overwrite a dark period of history.
Yeah, so it's more so that people can, when they look back and they remember the episode, they're going to be remembering the Porky the Fourth episode and not the Porky the Third.
So the idea, they go, I remember a really dark early Porky episode. And then they'll go and someone will show them it, and it'll be similar enough that they'll go, well, this is definitely the episode.
Yeah, but it's actually not that bad. Nicer. Yeah, it's really nice.
Obviously, the people of the Tooniverse will remember the reign of Porky the Third.
Yeah.
But the people of our world, it's a propaganda film for our side of the Portal Wrestling.
It's to not besmirch the good name of Porky Pig.
Yeah. Dark Bugs continues somewhat. Yeah. We see an episode of Bugs. We think it must be shortly before or shortly after in Bugs's timeline that he went to war. But it's in the 1800s, 1860, 1870 something. It's sort of an Old West number. But there is a bandit, Red Hot Rider.
Yeah.
But he's a goofball. He's very similar demeanour to Willoughby.
Yes.
The many dogs inhabited by a ghost.
that we have seen.
And at the end of this episode, Bugs kills... Well, he leaves Red Hot Rider buried alive.
Yeah, with a... At that point, did he put dynamite in there with him?
He might have stuck a dynamite in there. But he's buried alive. And obviously Bugs can move through the soil, so he just pops in, quits, gets out. Dynamite, gets out of there. And at that point, I think we discovered what Willoughby's unfinished business is.
Yeah, the rabbit.
It's Get the Rabbit.
Get the rabbit.
Because, it's definitely the same character, but it's in a human body.
Yeah.
Why he now winds up moving from dog to dog, hoping the next dog will be the last dog home.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, so Willoughby, as a character, is not a dog. He's the ghost of a human bandit from the 1800s inhabiting a dog.
Yeah.
And he's been doing this for so long that he can't remember.
No,
even
and
what
we
he's
can
trying to
only
do
presume that Bugs knows that this is going to happen. And, I mean, it's unknown at the moment as to why he's made that happen, because he went out of his way to create that situation.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we know Bugs has some sort of agenda, and we're not really sure how it's working.
No.
Around this sort of time, in the cartoons, but modern day again, Tweety has definitely overtaken Bugs as the top murderer.
By quite a number as well.
So Tweety's killed 200 cats.
Yeah.
With grenades.
Yeah.
And that's entirely just that method, I think.
Yeah.
Possibly,
yeah.
Yeah, there could be much more.
He's very proud of that fact as well.
Very proud. Yeah. Tweety is a psychopath. We found out throughout this process that a lot of the sort of rival dynamics that seem to have sort of the good guy and bad guy in the Tooniverse, we have had wrong this whole time.
Yeah, and I think everybody has it wrong. Everyone presumes that Bugs is the good guy, Elmer's the bad guy. Nope. The other way around. Sylvester and Tweety. You think Sylvester's the bad guy, Tweety's the good guy? Hell no. Not even a little bit.
So, that's worth having in there. Bugs implants memories into Elmer, shows the past and the future.
Yeah, so we were talking about Elmer earlier on being the egghead that made it. So he's hatched into a fully formed human, and he has no memory of his egghead past, and therefore has no childhood memories.
But he's very suggestible.
Yeah.
And Bugs, does he go into his dream? I think he goes into his dream.
There is definitely an episode where he goes into his dream.
Now, we've seen Bugs do this before.
Yeah.
Bugs can just pop into your dream while you're asleep by sleeping next to you. Yeah. We don't know if everyone can do this or if it's just a Bugs thing.
Yeah.
But if he just pops his head down next to you, goes to sleep, he can just inhabit your dream. And he basically not only gives Elmer a past, a human past, like a childhood, in which he is there.
Yeah.
And they're friends. But he also shows Elmer, a future.
Yes.
It's all ray guns and what have you. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
And we think this is Bugs trying to sow the seeds of basically get Elmer in the mindset for Space Jam.
Yeah.
And this is the first time where I think we go, Bugs' agenda from very early on is actually to make sure that the events of Space Jam
go the way
they need to go.
Yeah. And he seems he's willing to do some very dark things to make that happen.
Yeah, he's very ends justify the means kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Enter Pepe Le Pew, the amorous sex pest of a skunk.
Yeah.
Who we immediately discover is leading something of a double life. So the first episode he's in, he's pursuing a cat that's basically wound up with a white stripe painted down her back.
Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, we see his wife and kids, and he's immediately just speaking normally. He's not all, mademoiselle, I love you.
Yeah. he's just got a straight up American accent.
And he's just sorry.
Yeah. And he's got a name.
And he's got a name.
And it's not Pepe Le Pew.
Well, I mean, we don't know at this point which is the mask.
Well, yeah.
But he is definitely leading at least a double life. Pepe Le Pew and Michael.
Yeah.
Just Michael.
Just straight up Michael.
We also get Yosemite Sam in at this point.
We do.
Not doing much that affects anything, but he's there. We've seen him in his standard sort of bandit guise. I don't think he's even spoken at this point.
No, I think it's because we see him alongside Bugs at this point, don't we?
Is there Bugs one or is it Daffy one?
Oh, that's a good
There's
point.
a Bugs one and a Daffy one, and they're quite similar. He's the bandit. The other one's, are there. Not really trying to get involved, just sort of there.
Yeah.
But I think the first one is the Bugs one. I think that's Bugs just going,
it's a train
I know
robbery.
this guy's there later in Space Jam.
Best go see what he's about.
Yeah, not hugely relevant now, but that's just to get him in because we know he's going to become relevant.
Yes.
Anytime I just introduce a character and don't say much about them, it's just because we know they're
some
there
point
at the
they're
end.
At some point they're going to be there.
We have a couple of flashback episodes at this point, which is really interesting. The first one is Bugs, presumably a young Bugs, and pre-human demarcation.
Yeah.
The humans are living in the city. Bugs is working at a department store.
Yeah.
And then the department store owner shows him like this museum sort of thing, like a display of like stuffed animals.
Yes.
And he says, we're gonna want a stuffed rabbit.
Yeah.
And at this point, Bugs obviously realizes
They mean him.
he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He doesn't really use any toon powers in this episode, so this is why we think it's young Bugs, both in the timeline of the Tooniverse and in Bugs' jumping around timeline.
Yes.
He doesn't really use any toon powers to escape, but it goes a long way to explain why Bugs is not too enamoured with society and the city.
I mean, that put me off society.
And
if
it could
somebody moved
also
me jobs.
Yeah, but it could also be seen as a potential catalyst for why the human demarcation happened. So we presume this is happening sometime between 1927 and 1937, but we still haven't pinned down when the demarcation occurred.
No, but I mean, if humans are deciding that just killing and stuffing sentient animals is still...
It's just fine.
Yeah, then, you know, and those animals have the ability to create an uprising, then they probably will.
Yeah, absolutely. The other pre-demarcation flashback we see is Daffy. Daffy lives with a human family.
Yeah, that's where he started.
But in the end is sort of cast out.
Yeah.
He's replaced with another duck.
Yeah.
Because the dad of the family is just irritated with Daffy.
It's not surprising.
Sort of tries to get him out.
He was annoying.
But what's interesting about that is we thought Porky met a non-sentient... Well, not a non-sentient duck, but a non-society duck.
Yes.
And it turns out Daffy was part of society before the demarcation and was cast out.
Yeah.
When he was like... Because when Porky... early on when Porky met him, he was like a general over a bunch of non-sentient ducks. General Quacko. But it's interesting to know that before that, he was part of society. And it might go some way also to explaining the level of his daffiness now.
Yes.
Is just, you know, he's had a hard time of it.
Oh, yeah. He's shunned.
Baseball Bugs is the next one I've got written down. And this is interesting for the same reason as his interest in Elmer and his sort of agenda is interesting. Because at the start of the film Space Jam, I think Michael Jordan's playing baseball.
Yes.
Now, we have seen briefly Bugs sort of training up some basketball before.
Yeah.
But he's covering his bases. It's like he doesn't really know, like, if he affects too much of the timeline, what if Michael Jordan keeps playing baseball?
Yeah.
And the aliens come and challenge the world to baseball.
Rather than
He's
basketball.
got to cover his bases.
Yeah.
So Bugs spends some time rigorously training such that he can beat a baseball team by himself.
Yes.
Like, Bugs Bunny is the greatest baseball team in the world in whenever it is, 1946, 1947.
Yes.
Elmer dabbles in science, similarly trying to create another tonic to make people super smart. Or
it's almost kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde sort of tonic that I think he's trying to create. And Bugs again steps in,
shuts it down,
and he's just like, "Yep, this isn't happening." So Bugs does just jump around time, really, you know, guiding it towards one point. I think,
and we know what that point is.
Yeah, we do.
1996.
But it's interesting that he just doesn't want loads of super tonics kicking about.
Well, I've just thought while we're discussing it now, what if it's like, if in his opinion, the super tonics make us as bad as the aliens who are coming to challenge?
Yeah, he doesn't want us cheating.
We're going to do this right.
Yeah,
they're cheating. We're not cheating.
Yeah,
because
that way, even if they lose, they win on moral high ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like even if we lose the game of basketball, you know, in our hearts, we know.
We know we won, and we can just nip back through the portal.
What happens next? Daffy and Porky are put in charge of the delivery of the Tooniverse's babies. I presume this is agency work?
Yeah, I guess so. So
The storks
this,
go on strike.
Yeah, the Storks go on strike. Daffy and Porky the Fourth, through all of their fantastic endeavours in the past, and just nailing mission after mission, have been sent in to basically just whip it all back into shape, just get everything flowing again. So all of the babies in the Tooniverse are delivered by storks,
Yeah.
pretty much everywhere.
But the storks have had enough of it.
Yeah.
They're all getting drunk in some bar. And Daffy and Porky are put in charge of it.
Yeah.
They don't do a great job.
No, well, they end.
doesn't go-
They,
it's
they
not- it's out of their
both end up-
wheelhouse.
Yeah, they both end up in Africa.
Yeah.
Daffy can get back quite easily. Porky the Fourth,
Not so
not
much.
so well.
Daffy doesn't seem to care. Daffy just goes straight back home.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm out.
And we have a couple of episodes where, we see some Porky Pigs back in America, and we know it's not Porky Pig. He's in Africa.
Yeah.
He can't get back that fast.
No.
He just literally can't.
But this,
These
this
are
we
not Porky
assume
Pigs.
are from the kind of Porkytopia. All of those Porkies that held the jobs as decoys.
Yeah, they're doubles.
They all still need jobs. They're all still part of society.
Yeah,
so
and I presume there's some sort of program to sort of reintegrate them.
yeah, so we're seeing essentially episodes where it's them getting back into society, them getting a job. So
I wonder
it
if one of
seems
them's
like
going to
it's-
start objectivist philosophy and become sort of some Porky Ayn Rand.
Oh,
Just-
well, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to keep watching and find out. But yeah,
I hope not. but
well, yeah,
I
but-
can see it happening.
yeah, of course. I mean, I hoped a lot of what happened wouldn't have happened, but it did.
But yeah, so they're being reintegrated because obviously at this point the war is over,
Yeah.
both in our world and the Tooniverse. Daffy tries to return to his old job as a director and is turned away.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, probably keeping Daffy in the sort of militaristic and agency roles
yeah.
that he's trying to give up
just
now.
yeah,
He's trying to stop.
He just wants to get back to his normal life.
Speaking of getting back to a normal life, we're Sniffles, who we know took something of an alcoholic dive,
Yeah,
has just arrived in the US.
yeah. So he's been making his way across Europe, and now the war's over. He's taking the ship over.
And I think because, I think we concluded, because you suggested that maybe he was on the Belgian beers,
Yeah,
and now he's over in the US. He's got some more sensible strength beer,
yeah, and things.
and now he's just sort of maintaining a buzz. And
Yeah,
seems to be doing
he's
okay for
he's
himself.
found a buzz. He's maintaining his buzz. He's no longer ratted. All
But he's
the time.
back. He's over in the States now.
Yeah.
So Sniffles, who is not Fievel, has also gone west.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's the last time we saw Sniffles, so we don't really know how that's panning out. But
No, it was a bit of a weird episode for him because he ended up in a tavern.
yeah, but he seemed okay. He seemed
yeah.
kind of with it.
Yeah.
So the next thing up is Gosmer, who I from my childhood remember mostly from Marvin the Martian sort of cartoons, but
Yeah.
he comes in.
He comes
earlier
in,
than Marvin.
he comes in quite a bit earlier, and he's almost like some sort of like mutant that a scientist has created.
Yeah, he's being kept by a scientist who it looks like Peter Lorre,
It does look like Peter Lorre.
and that becomes
That becomes a thing.
Bugs seems to Bugs seems to be the target of this scientist,
Yes.
and Gosmer seems to be the plan.
Yeah.
But I think by the sort of end of the episode, him and Gosmer have something of a rapport.
Yeah, so I think Bugs sees something in Gosmer as
Yes,
going, he's just got a spark about it. The same sort of spark I think you saw in Elmer, where it was like, this person could be important.
Yeah.
He's like me. He likes a bit of a goof.
I mean, I think Gosmer wears that spark on his sleeve a bit more than Elmer, because Elmer
Yes.
must have taken some scene to, whereas Gosmer, although I don't remember him really being in Space Jam, he might be. He might be in
He's
the
got the
background
shoes
something.
for it.
He's got the shoes for it.
He's got the shoes
Even
for it.
now,
Yeah.
at this point, he's a giant orange rug-looking thing,
Yeah.
and he's got basketball
He's got
sneakers
basketball
on.
sneakers
So
on. And
Bugs goes,
he's tall as well, and he does have big long arms.
yeah.
So he's got
perfect.
massive arms.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
We found out around this point how Bugs funds all his adventures and his plans.
Yeah. 7-minute business plans. So basically, within 7 minutes, he comes up with a business plan, pitches it, and sells it just to the highest bidder. So very much like sort of like Dragon's Den-esque sort of bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much he exploits his time travel powers doing this.
Well, that's it.
Because
Like,
obviously he can just get
he
an
can
idea
hop
in someone's house
forward.
and move it to
Yeah.
someone else, or sell it to the person who is going to invent it just
Yeah.
a bit earlier than they invent it.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
he's got options.
But this is how we think he funds the vast majority
Yeah, he
of
makes
his
a quick
escapades.
buck. He puts it in the bank. He nips back forward to the future.
Yeah,
And,
gathered some interest.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
got some interest. Let's go. Let's roll.
It's a good system for
So
him.
it's a good system. Around this point, Foghorn Leghorn comes into the equation. We know
Yep.
he's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, well, he is up there in the pantheon of big characters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's done anything particularly relevant yet. He's just in a similar vein to Yosemite Sam. Bugs, after his run-in with Peter Lorre and Gosmer, seems to try and off Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
Now, Peter Lorre, he finds like a gangster that looks like Peter Lorre.
Yeah,
We're not sure if it's like a brother or, I don't know, some toon image. We're not sure.
No. But it's definitely somebody who looks a lot like Peter Lorre.
But he definitely, certainly within the context of the episode, takes him out of the equation.
Yes.
We know, however, from later things that he doesn't take out Peter Lorre, the scientist. But we'll get there.
to that.
I've put the Tome of Hypnosis down because it crops up. No, so that's what Elmer.
Several times.
That's what sort of provided Elmer with just enough power, I think, to take on some of Bugs's Toon Lord powers.
Yeah.
But it crops up several times, and whoever reads it, like, it must be the most comprehensive guide to hypnosis ever written.
Yes.
Because people just need to open it, read a couple of pages, and then just be able to do it.
Oh, yeah, they can just hypnotise
So
people
it's
immediately.
amazing. So I wonder if it's a load of maybe 2-page descriptions of how to do hypnosis,
Yeah.
and they're all just, like, for different ways of learning.
Yeah.
You just go, oh, I'll get this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll read that one. Yeah.
And then they can just hypnotise people.
But it is very, very comprehensive because it's immediate, the ability to do it.
So
Immediate.
we're wondering who wrote that Tome of Hypnosis. That's a question that's hanging over us at this point. Porky the Third is alive. We
Yes, he
see
is.
him at home
Yeah.
in an episode. The reason we're pretty sure it's Porky the Third is because he's got an ICBM in his kitchen.
And we only know one Porky that would have
Would
an
have an
ICBM.
ICBM in his kitchen, and that's El Porco, despot of Porkytopia.
Yeah.
So he's hovering over the whole proceedings as a villain at the
he's
moment.
still there.
Like, ready to take back power from Porky the Fourth, or worse. I've written Michael again, because we had another Pepe Le Pew episode in which we pretty much definitely find out that Michael is his normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
He has his family. We realised that in the other episode, his wife wasn't annoyed that he was out flirting with another cat.
No.
She was just annoyed because he had other stuff to do.
Yes.
So I think they've got a sort of they've got
Yeah,
sort of open
we
thing,
posited
or he's divorced.
different ideas. Yeah, that he was divorced and it was just his weekend with the kids, and
Yeah,
she was
that's
supposed
where
to be
I think
out.
we're at. But the other thing that this episode revealed is that Michael, who I think we conclude that he's in like sort of midlife crisis mode.
Yeah.
He's divorced. He's got the kids like every other weekend, but that's pretty much like the rest of the time.
He's
he
out
rolls
carousing.
He's out carousing. He's rolling his Pepe Le Pew. But the other thing we found out is through various layers of costume, he knows he's not flirting with skunks. Although it's always like a dog that's wound up looking like a skunk, or a cat that looks like a skunk. He knows they're not skunks.
Yeah, he doesn't mind, does he?
He likes black creatures with a white stripe down their back, but he's actually out to sample, some more exotic things.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's him really, really living up to the Pepe Le Pew name at this point. The reason we know Peter Lorre's not dead is he crops up again.
Yeah.
And at this point, I got to thinking, why is Peter Lorre in the Tooniverse? And we discovered, we looked into Peter Lorre's history in our world a little bit.
Yeah.
And he fled Germany when Adolf Hitler came into power.
Yeah.
He was an Austro-Hungarian. He was still an actor at the time, but we think he was also
dabbling in some science.
A wildly intelligent scientist.
Yeah.
Working on a way to emulate portal technology. Now, during Hitler's time in power, he also harbored an obsession with sort of the occult.
He did.
And he must have got wind of Peter Lorre's work and come to seize this technology. Now, this technology clearly was imperfect, but Peter Lorre, seeing no other option, tried to escape through the portal. His destination, America.
Yeah.
But he was split, at least into two. The Peter Lorre we see in the Tooniverse and the one we see in America. But I think there's several ones in the Tooniverse, because Bugs off's one, and he's still around. We don't even know if the one we see in this episode is the same one as the scientist.
No, potentially not.
But Peter Lorre got split. And the Peter Lorre we know and love from the Maltese Falcon and Casablanca
actually made it to America.
He made it to America.
On our side.
The actor side.
Yes.
I don't think he has any recollection of being a scientist.
No. Because he never went on to do any big scientific discoveries, did he?
Well, no. And I don't think any of the Tooniverse Peter Lorres really have any recollection of being an actor.
No.
They're just separate entities, separate parts of the being that once was Peter Lorre.
What a powerful man he would have been to know back then.
And that, goes some way to explaining how Hitler and his goons wound up in the Tooniverse.
Yes, because
that's how they got portal technology. Because
they stole it. Whether or not they managed to perfect it anymore, whether or not they just rocked with it in its imperfect form, because we did see some pretty weird versions of some high-up Nazi generals.
Goebbels had gone
green.
We don't really know why. Maybe too much time spent. Maybe an imperfect
version.
Maybe an imperfect print. We don't really know, but we know that Peter Lorre managed to emulate an imperfect version of portal technology, and that's how the Nazis got in there.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, that is just the way it went. Do you only think that makes any sense?
So the last couple of things really are Sylvester and Tweety meet.
Yeah.
There's, again, we haven't had that particularly manifest into the relationship we remember and love. They have now met.
Yeah.
That rivalry has been set up. And we ended 1947 with another glimpse into Flea life.
Yes, we did.
Which he's moved. Flea has moved on to another dog.
Yeah.
And he's prospecting, and the dog's irritated for a while. But a flea circus then turns up and sets up on the dog's belly, and they all just have a nice little flea circus, and the dog's entertained, and everyone's getting what they want.
Yeah. And that works out.
And that was a really nice way to close.
It was such a nice episode for ending 1947 on.
Then we watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, that changed things. And it just...
so we did a live show for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's the episode before these two catch-up ones.
Yeah.
So if you want to go and listen to us and a live audience wax lyrical about that good movie, go back and listen to that one. We had a lot of fun doing it.
When you say movie, you mean documentary, obviously.
Yeah, it's a documentary film.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. About life in 1947 on our side of the portal.
Yeah.
And that... It raised a lot of stuff, but the two that are interesting, I think, to the ongoing story are the existence of Toontown.
Yeah.
And the confirmation of the existence of other Tooniverses, namely the Disneyverse.
Yeah.
So I just want to cover those couple of ideas now. The Disneyverse one's kind of easy. I don't, just like there's a Looney Tooniverse.
Yes.
That we've been looking at for the past year. There's also a Disneyverse. We presume they have their own sort of governing agency governing the the transit.
Yeah, so the agency that covers the Looney Tooniverse will be a separate agency, and there will be some level of rivalry jurisdiction. If Toons get out of each one and potentially cross over, there's going to be a jurisdictional battle going on between what paperwork needs filling out for who's going in and getting.
Yeah, it's very FBI, CIA.
Yeah.
Sort of like. They're going for the same thing, but they also sort of want the glory and they want their jurisdiction.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got different methods. It might be interesting at some point to look at the Disneyverse and go, how are they doing it?
Yeah, how are they doing it?
Yeah.
And the other thing is Toontown, which it's interesting that these things always have a studio at the front of them. There's the Disney Studios, there's the Warner Brothers Studios, and then there's Maroon Studios.
Yeah.
Now, Maroon seemed to take a different approach to essentially monetizing malfunctions of portals.
Yeah.
So rather than doing what Warner Brothers or Disney have done, which is just show us what's going on through there and call it a cartoon, pretend they drew it.
Yeah.
Maroon is basically taking escaped toons into like asylum, like
Yeah,
custody.
it's like he's taken like building materials and various things from the various Tooniverses to build a town, and then put them in there and just went, right, you guys are all working for me.
Yeah.
And he sets up and just films.
They just make films.
Yeah.
I think Acme has something to do with the fact that the Toon objects can be created in our world, because he seems to make objects for the Tooniverse, and he's a guy from our universe.
Yeah. He's
I presume Marvin Acme sits on the agency, right?
I'd imagine so.
Until his unfortunate
demise,
death in 1947. After that, it's run by the people of Toontown.
Yeah.
Because he leaves Toontown and Acme to the Toons.
Yeah.
Maroon ushered in a sort of new era. The question it raises really is, how long has that been going on for? We know Toontown existed 5 years before 1947 at least, because his brother was killed in Toontown.
Yes.
Eddie's brother.
Yeah.
Was killed in Toontown in 1942.
Yeah. By a Toon.
So it's working out when we think Toontown came in.
Yeah, and also how it was
for
kept
too
so
long.
secret as well.
Yeah, I mean, how long has Maroon has been making films for a long time?
Yeah.
But I think it's almost like a distraction, right? It's another way of framing Toons, so that not only when you glimpse through the portal do you not think much of it, because everyone just says, oh, animators drew them. But when they're in our world in Toontown, you presume some trickery. You just go, no, we see them all the time.
Yeah.
So if you see an escaped toon in the street, you're not that worried about it.
No.
They're not meant to be carting around, all of Chicago.
No. They're not supposed to just be out and about in normal society. They've built a town for them. So, no, you stay there, or you're at the studios, and that's it.
But also, New York is where sort of our initial portal opened up, right?
Yeah.
This is in Chicago, so maybe a portal opened up there at some point, and he just chose to deal with it differently.
Yeah, possibly.
At some point, I guess the various agencies will have put sanctions on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question really is, the three questions are, when did it turn up? When did it inevitably fall apart?
Yeah.
Because there ain't one there now.
No, there's not.
And how public was it?
Yeah.
Because it seemed reasonably public in the documentary. But
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm
not
thinking
many people seem to acknowledge it now.
Like the first time we saw Toons come out of the portal on our side, would have did start causing a lot of problems in our world, the beginning of the war.
Absolutely, and that was in 1938.
Yeah, so it's very possible that because they were out for 2 weeks, that would have given them ample time to cart about. And that could have, if they bumped into Acme at that point.
Marvin Acme or into Arcade Maroon.
Yeah. If they bumped into any of those people at that point and given them the idea that, these aren't just animated shows on a screen. These things actually exist. So it's very possible that it started out at that point.
Because also Marvin Acme's definitely a sort of toon rights enthusiast, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because that will have been maybe those first escapees were a point of discovery for a few people.
Yeah.
And different movements started, but we don't really have any confirmation either way.
No.
And that's the sort of lay of the land as we see at the end of 1947.
Yeah.
Which is the end of our first season. I know that was a barrage of information.
Yeah.
That's where we stand.
And it gives us some opening questions for season 2 as well.
It gives us some opening questions for season 2, some things to look out for, and I hope you will join us on that adventure. Because it's definitely a new era. We've had the rise and fall of a despot. We're having the rise of the Toon Lords currently, and we're starting to see the advent of our end goal, which is Space Jam.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll join us over the next however long to try and to try and reach that goal.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a journey, but, we're going to go through it together, which would be nice.
Yeah, it's been nice so far in that every time an arc seems to be finishing, something else is sparked off and is ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that continues. We'll find out in season 2. We're going to take a
bit of a break.
A bit of a break while Cal has to go from one heat wave to another heat wave in Florida for a wedding. He's not a happy boy.
I'm not.
But when he's back, we'll be kicking in with season 2. But until then, thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we will.
Bye!